The exercise people out and death.
All right. Welcome, guys, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Jeff Doss. Thank you all for joining us tonight. As everyone is getting on, make sure you guys put your name in the comments, tag someone, as we have a great show with some amazing guests, and I am excited to share that this time with them. We got Jarvis Miller as well as Kaitlyn Vong. So two first-time guests, and it's going to be a great time. So if you have not joined us yet, make sure you have. I'm going to share the show. Make sure you guys share it as well. All the groups, all of your to all your friends and everything, so we can make sure everybody is watching tonight. So we also have a big another sport karate weekend coming up, and that is the Quebec Open. All right. So Quebec Open, we're excited to be a part of this event as well. Again, in Quebec City, one of the best night shows in all of sport karate. And I tell you what, man, each and every year they bring it, they work hard. They are well-oiled machine, and they continue to grow each and every year. Right. So one of the things that Quebec is great about, and when you guys go this weekend, is that the whole community is involved, right? So it's sponsored by the city and the government, the local government. So that's what's amazing about Quebec Open. They do something that most of us as tournament promoters would love to do, right? And then they give you a first class show that looks like a rock show, like it really does. When you walk on that stage, man, I tell you, it's a whole nother feeling. I know a couple years ago I got to do it again. First time I did it, I was 17, and then last year or 2 years ago, being able to do it at 40 was just amazing. Being able to not only like compete in front of people that are sport karate fans, but also people that like don't even go to the events. So it's really really a fun thing to see and to witness. So make sure you guys set up and get everything you need to for this weekend to be at the Quebec Open. All right. Last thing before I bring on Jarvis to talk to him, and I meant to do this last week, but I want to talk about an unsung hero, someone in a company that has supported our sport so much, and that is the Jarvis brothers. Okay, you guys, they have been at this for years, since I was a kid and even before that, right? And Jarvis Brothers Trophy Company, not only do they provide all the tournaments, especially the NASCAR tournaments, with their trophies, but they're there the whole time, right? Before the event, they are the last ones there after, like even at this last weekend, they were there during the finals so people could get their awards. They're there on Sunday so people can get their awards. They're there supporting everybody. And I tell you what, they're just good people. So make sure you guys, when you get your awards, say thank you to them. Also, make sure that you guys, everyone, promoters, families, school owners, support these guys, and make sure you treat them right, because they've been a great company that continues to thrive in our sport and provide what we need in our sport. Okay, so if it's the 6-foot trophies, if it's the medals, they'll continue to grow and do what the promoter needs, but also what is great for the competitors. So just wanted to shout them out and thank you guys for that. All right, guys. So I'm going to bring on Jarvis. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm super excited to have you on. So I know you told me at Ocean State you watched the show and you really appreciate it. So thank you for the support. What
Of
were some of
course.
the things that you enjoy just about the show that we do?
Just like the love you guys have for the game. Just like, I talk to Bailey all the time. Like you really, when you talk to guys, you really understand like who really loves the sport.
Right.
And that was something that like I kind of always carry with me, even when I was playing football. So it's just like people who actually genuinely care about the sport and the growth of the sport. And talking about the important topics on like it growing, and being better over the years. So for me, it's just like tuning in and hearing you guys talk about old stories or talk about things that you guys want to change in the game or,
Right.
things just to better the sport. That's something I really appreciate and something I just love to always tap into.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that.
Of
So,
course.
man, it's been a wild couple of weeks for you. And like for people that don't know, let's share a little bit about your path to sport karate in martial arts. You've been in this for a really long time, but I mean, honestly, I even like forget, like when you were younger somewhat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yep.
wait, yeah, like those types of things, right? And I put that picture out today of, you, on Full Circle, and
Yep.
then, in Penn State, and then of course the most recent one I could find on Facebook of you. But
Yeah, I haven't been on
so
Facebook in years, man. My
yeah,
bad about that.
it's all good. Um, so yeah, so tell us the path in martial arts and how you got to competing.
First off, I give all the credit to my dad. My dad's has been in martial arts for over 50 years. My sister's a black belt. I'm a black belt. Started when I was like 5 or 6, and the rest was history, man. He had me doing the splits when I was like 5 or 6. My uncle is also a black belt. My older cousin, Mark G, he actually used to be on Wazee Roo and Team Full Circle. So kind of like a big family thing. And I've been in martial arts since the age of 5, and through that and learned discipline, foundation, work ethic. That like karate was like the foundation for all my success. Even the current success I have now that has nothing to do with karate. And obviously led into football. But yeah, I started when I was at 5, man, and then just as time went on, started doing more national tournaments. My dad, just saw something in me to just keep getting better at the sport. I enjoyed it at a really young age. I was pretty good at it. Didn't really know what I was doing. I was out there kicking and punching, but I was just a
Yeah.
natural athlete. And then just over time, man, just going to seminars, going to Jotty's TCK winter camps. I still remember
Okay,
like
that's what I was just gonna ask you. What are some of those ones that really struck you?
yeah, like Jotty, like I always say this for like all the time, like my sport karate career, like Jotty Tension, Ross Levine, as a kid, Raymond Daniels, like those guys were like, I looked up to them. And Jotty's in New York and I lived in Connecticut. So just being around
Okay.
Jotty, being around Ross, like they've worked with me one on one. I was always at their camps. I just gained so much knowledge from them. Even Mr. Plowden, just gained so much knowledge from them at such an early age and just using what they gave me. And then being on the national circuit eventually when I was fighting black belt division, got picked up by Team Full Circle when I was a junior. And then I stopped fighting when I was 16 because I had to take football serious. So, but before
Yeah.
that, I karate 24/7. That's all I did. And then eventually football took over.
So, what are some things that not that you saw, but that your coaches in football saw that martial arts helped with that?
Just my toughness. Like
Yeah.
I started playing football kind of late. I didn't start playing football till I was like 13, 14 years old. I
Okay.
was karate, baseball. And then I was like, I don't like baseball anymore. My dad's like, you got to do something. So I was like, you know what? Like, let me go play football. Something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be a running back. So I went out there, Pop Warner team, and just talent, just raw talent out there running, hitting people. It's almost like Jalen Carr. Like Jalen Carr is the same thing. Like back in the day,
Yeah.
just such a
Yeah.
great athlete, no fear, fast, athletic. And just that toughness you get from sport karate, just getting punched in the face, getting kicked in the face, not being afraid of contact. That really helped me early on in my football career. So I think, like I said, like I always credit karate for
Mm.
my foundation for anything I've ever done. Without that, I would not be where I'm at.
Yeah, it's crazy too to think about a lot of the guys in your age group and that were coming up in point fighting. Really, a lot of you guys became college athletes.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about you, Bailey, Jalen,
Yep.
Tyreek was a college athlete. Um, Also, so one of my teammates from Proper years ago,
Allen,
Keon,
yeah,
yeah,
baseball.
he
Yep.
baseball. So I mean, all these guys, and I'm sure we're missing some more, but that were, college athletes. So I know for me, when coaches talk to me or they get a student of one of mine, their biggest thing
Yep.
they notice a lot of times is their balance. It's
Yep.
like, whoa, like a lot of these kids, especially high school, they don't have that, and you could see
100%.
the difference, and so it's wild to see that, of that's one thing. Of course, hand-eye coordination, everything like that. And again, like you said, toughness. One thing I think Alex always talks about is, like when people are like, all right, just do as many say, get down and just do as many push-ups as you can till failure.
Right.
Failure.
Right.
Like, well, tell me a number or I'll just keep going, because we're bred to not quit. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. It's a
and
different
so,
mentality.
yeah,
It's a
it
100%
definitely
different
is.
mentality, and it's just like being in sport karate. Like I took all the little things for granted in terms of like being able to balance on one leg and kick this many times, or doing all the little things. Then you translate that to running a ball, and I'm able to cut or do so many hard things, but you make it look easy because of your background. I've been doing that since I was 5 or 6. So and yeah,
Yeah,
and like you said, Brett, being coachable. That's
yeah.
another big thing. Like being coachable, being able to take accountability, and just
Mm.
getting better. Like I just have that mindset just from karate, just that discipline, and just you don't know everything. So always being a sponge, and just continuing to get better every day.
Explain going from an individual sport to a team sport, and how being kind of like we've kind of suggested a little bit about that martial arts kind of helped you in that as well.
That's actually a great question because for the longest time, I didn't like when I first started doing. I didn't like it. Like when I was in sport karate, if I lost because of me. Um,
Right,
and I like putting the blame on myself. When
right,
I went to football, say if I don't care who you are, there's 11 on the field. You need everyone to do their job so you could do it right. So if I'm a
right,
linebacker, I need my D lineman to fill this gap. If not, I'm not going to make this tackle. If I'm a corner and that safety is not in right coverage, it's going to look like I got the ball thrown over my head, and that's my fault. So
right.
adjusting to that was big, but also I think I took this opportunity to be a good leader. I think that's something I learned through karate as well, just being able to lead and being in class and being with your classmates, graduating from belt to belt to belt, and just having good leadership qualities. I think once I translated to football, I just took that dog mentality, that work ethic, and it kind of brought out that leadership role in me because I don't like to lose.
Yeah,
So it's like, you see a different side of me when I'm competing. You got to get on people and hold other people accountable, but also you being a leader, you got to lead from the front. So it's just all things and new roles I kind of had to step into, but all growth opportunities.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So from high school, you went to Penn State, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So explain that, being a college athlete, and then the path to the NFL.
Um, it was different, man. It was different. Like I said, like I didn't start playing football till like I was 13, 14, and by 17, I was a freshman in college. I was the youngest on my team. So I
Okay.
was 17 when I went to college. And it was different, very different. You're with a bunch of other top, highly rated recruits. You're not the best one in your county anymore. You're with a bunch of 4 stars, 5 stars. But honestly, the thing that I learned from Penn State was just like my ability to battle through adversity, and adversity in like a different way, like everyday adversity. Like when you show up to practice, it's a game. um, and at first when you get to high school, when you're in high school, you're the best player, you take things for granted, you're able to do things so easy, and then you get to that next level and it's like, wow, this dude's just as fast, he's just as strong, he's just as big, he
Right.
knows the playbook. And I didn't have that grown man strength back then. I was still a kid. So it took me a while to really adjust, man. And my career had a lot of ups and downs, but it made me stronger. It made me more resilient. I just learned a lot about myself in those 4 years. Great memories, man. Played a lot of good ball. Played with a lot of all pros, future all pros, current all pros, some MVPs, Super Bowl winners. I won a Rose Bowl. I won a Big Ten championship.
Wow.
And then, yeah, so I played in some pretty cool games, man. Big experiences. Um, and then after that, I played my grad year at UMass. I played there for a year. And then after that, I came out and ended up getting signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. That's sick. So how was that as far as being in the NFL? I mean, again, each thing you're doing is a whole different step, right? And it's hard for a lot of us to even think about, especially for some of us that have been in this sport forever, right? Let's be honest, a lot of it doesn't change too much until you have put yourself at a certain level. The sport
100%.
itself doesn't change, but you, based on where you're at, that changes how people see you and your
100%.
opportunity, right? But explain that NFL lifestyle.
Business, straight business. And that's something, I talk to a lot of high school kids now, whether they reach out to me, I always like giving back because these are things I didn't know. Even college now, you see it now is business.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
and business can't be personal. It is. I tell people all the time, like the mentality I have is, what have you done for me lately? Because that's all it is. Any high
Mm,
athletic thing that you do at a 1% level, it's what have you done for me lately? If you had a good game last game, it don't matter. We're on this game. What are you gonna do this time? So, when I got to the league, I was kind of already NFL prepped. I was at Penn State and I played with, I mean, damn near every guy I played with, and my recruiting class went to the NFL. So it's like I
right.
was playing against these guys every day. That went to the league. Then you see the difference, like the Hall of Famers. So being out there with Big Ben for the first time, I was like, nah, that's a Hall of Famer. So that was cool, man. Different experiences. I played against TJ Watt in college. So when I was there, we used to talk a little bit how I beat him in the Big Ten championship in college. So good times, man, and just it was different, but I was already kind of adjusted to it. But definitely business. And something too, battling adversity. Not all the times do the best players even play. That's something that is
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah.
So you just find out. I think I just found out a lot about overcoming hurdles, overcoming adversity. Um, to just always make sure when my number's called, I'm ready.
Right.
They say, if you work hard, you'll get this. I do believe that, but I also do think you have to be ready when your number's called, in any situation. So I think football just taught me that, how to be ready for the moment, because you don't know when that time is coming. And if you're sulking, if, feeling bad for yourself and your opportunity comes, that might be the only one you get. So for
Yeah.
me, I just learned a lot through that. But overall, good experience playing for Mike Tomlin. I tell you what, I never really met another man that had aura like that when he walked into a room. A bunch of other grown men and, the respect that everyone had for him and the aura that he had in the locker room with the guys. Like, he was a very loving dude and he knew everyone's name. I'm walking down the hall, I'm an undrafted guy, I wouldn't expect he knows who I am. He's like, what's up, Jarv? I'm like, oh, he knew my name. So it's just like little things like that. The Pittsburgh culture and just it was a very cool experience. I'm blessed to even be in that situation and have that happen for me. But I manifested it and I worked hard for it, and yeah, I had a great time.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, you talk about sometimes the best players don't necessarily like, play and on those types of things. And honestly, we see that sometimes even in sport karate of where maybe the best isn't on the men's team fighting, right? And
Right.
a great example that I always share is Diamonds 2003, I believe. And so that was this first year that Trevor Nash was on Paul Mitchell, and he didn't team fight. And but in sport karate, you still have individuals, right?
100%.
So he was able to come back and he beat Raymond in the division, okay,
Okay.
and then beat Jason Borelli, and then beat everybody else to
Who
win
was
the
on that
diamond.
team back then? Was it Ray, Mike Palmero?
Ray, Mike P, Jody was still on it that year. That was the last year that all that group was still there.
Yeah.
Reggie, Raymond, yeah. So it was
Stacked.
wild, right? It
Yeah.
was
Stacked team.
stacked. Preston, all these guys were still there. I think the next year was when Alex joined. So yeah, Alex Lane joined. So yeah, so it was wild to just see that, and he took that intensity and that little bit of, okay, you're not going to put me in, to motivate him to win it, and he won it that year, and I think he won the next year as well. So he kept that drive.
I think that's the difference. Like, life is all about perspective and how you look at it, right? It's always glass half full or glass empty. My glass is always half full. So when things don't go your way, these are all just learning experiences that I had because, I didn't have that adversity in football until I got to college, and it hit me
Okay.
all at once.
All at once.
Some people have dealt with that throughout high school, so when they get to that situation, they know how to deal with it. I've just been so talented for so long. When I was young, I didn't have that until I got to that level, and you have to look at those things as growing opportunities. You can't sulk. And honestly, I just always carry a chip on my shoulder, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Just use it as fire, use it as intensity to go back out there and show people. You have to turn it into motivation. You can't sulk about it or be in your feelings about it because no one cares. That's one
Right.
thing I learned. No one cares. At the end of the day, it's either you could do it or you can't. So when you get your moment, just be ready for it.
So were there some other people in the NFL that you found out either had a martial arts background or sport karate background or anything like that? I know that I know someone that he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Landon, I'm blanking on his last name. He's the center, I believe. And I cannot think of his name. He went to Alabama and everything. So
Was this recent or like past 10 years?
yeah, like the last 2-3 years ago. Yeah.
Was it Landon Dickinson?
Yes, Landon Dickerson. So Landon Dickerson competed sport karate. I actually was center ref in his last fighting match. Yeah, before he just went completely. I think he was 13 at that time, and went 100% focused on football. And yeah, Landon Dickerson is from North Carolina area, and I mean I've known him since he started martial arts. So it's kind of crazy.
I've met him a couple of times, and I never knew that. That's insane.
Never knew that. Yeah, he came for that.
Never knew that.
Yeah, so there's that. It was before your time, but James Davison, him and his brother, I know both were college football athletes, but James made it to the NFL.
Okay.
Several different teams. Did you know any other ones that maybe had background?
I didn't know any sport karate guys. I knew a bunch of guys like that box growing up, but then just transitioning into football. But I did not meet any other sport karate guys. Like people used to call me crazy. I used to be doing the splits in the locker room and kicking, and they used to look at me like I was crazy. But I never met any sport karate guys in football. That's crazy. I did not know Landon actually, fought.
Yeah, he was high level on the NBL. Like he won some titles in the NBL.
Okay.
And then did NASCA a few times as well because his school, did that. He went to the same martial arts school as Bradley Norris, who was on
Yep,
on
Bradley.
Full Circle.
He's on Full Circle too. Yeah, Bradley. That's the OG right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So what made you? You're done with with Pittsburgh, and you decided, hey, getting right back into martial arts, or what was the next path? Where do you explain what you're currently doing as well?
It honestly, it kind of just happened over time. Like when I was still playing, like you can ask. I tell Jesse all the time. We laugh. Like I'd be at Penn State, even when I was in Pittsburgh. I'd still be pulling up sports martial arts, blitz kick. I was pulling up all the fights, just staying tuned in. And at this point, I hadn't fought in like 10 years. That's how much I just loved the sport. And that's like when I came back, I still knew who everyone was. I knew how everyone fought because I watched so much tape over that 10-year span. So it never really left me. And then when I stopped playing football, I needed that competitive itch. Like I don't know what it was, but I just need to always be striving to be better at something. And back where I was from, I was still training, but like I didn't really have a training partner. And Bailey's actually from Connecticut, so he'd come up. We train all the time, so I think over time he kind of re-sparked that. And Angel too, yeah. Angel, Bailey, like we all come up and they just kind of re-sparked like that fire in me. To get back out there. And I came back out, I want to say 3 years ago, at Battle. I was like 235, big, but I was out there moving and grooving, man. And I think I ended up making it like the top 4 for open weight, and Bailey beat me. But that was my first tournament back. I hadn't fought since I was 16. But I think now is different. I think when I first came back, I was kind of teeter-tottering, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I think like over the past, especially this year and beginning of last year, end of last year and this year, just so 2 feet in, and being fully committed. And I'm 28. I've made up a lot of lost time that I haven't, that I can't get back. Some goals I still want to do. Like I said, I stopped early. And then I see all these guys winning and doing their thing, and it's just like I can't get that time back, but I could do it now. So I was just like, let me be where my feet are and just give it what it needs.
Yeah. So, we've seen you change teams. We've seen you grow so much and have a successful, like, well, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I don't know how long it was, in Rhode Island, you won your first, I don't know if it was your first, but, you won that heavyweight individual championship, grand championship, and runner up in the overall. What are some changes that made that, I mean, of course we know that you're with Next Level now. Just tell us what's making that difference.
Man, shout out to Jesse Ray, shout out to the Bronx, everyone over there at Team Next Level, Tyson, Aunt Merrick's, the whole team. I've been going over there, man. He's, allowed me to be a part of the family and just opened up his doors to me when I asked him to come train. And man, he has just poured into me, believed in me, and just like, man, just got to work and he pushes
Yeah.
me. We talk all the time, just about goals and just life or just, sport karate stuff. And it's just like, being around him every day is just kind of sparked that motivation to be like, I want to be great. Same mentality I had in football, and the consistency of doing it now, not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. To be
Right.
successful at this, you got to be doing this.
Yeah.
You got to stay in the gym, stay in the dojo, be a gym rat. So man, shout out to Jesse, man, just motivating me, staying on me, pushing me hard. And like I said, man, just when you're in an environment like that that cultivates hard work, competitiveness. Same thing with Tyson. Like Tyson pushes me, and I
Yeah.
push him as well. It's just when we fight, just like if I fight like any of these other guys, when we train, you would think it's like we're fighting for the heavyweight overall. That's
Right.
how intense we train and how competitive that we are. So I think just cultivating that environment, like I said, just him just believing me and pouring into me. I really appreciate him. Like I said, what you saw out there, that's a cultivation of hard work I've done, but also the hard work that he's poured into me.
Yeah.
We both in the dojo sweating. So I just shout out to everyone at Next Level. But definitely a big change in my game. More confidence, but the consistency. I put the work in, so I'm not
Yeah.
surprised, to be honest.
Right. Right.
I know the work that I put in, and I know my talent, but talent doesn't mean anything. You got to be able to go out there, execute, and be
Sure.
training at a high level to do it. So just super appreciative.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, all of us notice a huge difference. And the truth is, man, we've all been excited to see you come back and like what that's gonna, because again, you're a high level pro athlete, to come into our sport. And the thing is, it wasn't like you're out of nowhere in our sport. You were in our sport, and then you're back in it, and we're all just excited to see what happens. As far as what are some goals? I mean, I know you want to be the best. So, what are some other goals that you'd like to share about?
To be honest with you, like that was the first one. I wanted to be able to make it out my division.
Yeah.
You got to be able to walk before you can run. So for me, it's like I break things down slowly but surely. I got the big one for sure, but just winning my division consistently, like first making it out. You know,
Right.
um,
Yeah. I mean, you're
uh,
talking about if you do that, that means you have to beat, one of the best.
a
I mean,
lot of
really,
good,
we can start saying it now. One of the best of all time in Cam, right? So,
100%,
yeah,
100%. And he's great. And he has been winning for a long time. Nothing but respect to him. And also Avery too. Those guys over the past like 10 years, 12
exactly.
years, like have been the two consistent winners. So much respect to them both. But yeah, man, it was. I thought it was a great win. Accomplished a goal. Kind of left a sour taste in my mouth not winning the overall. But back to work and back to the lab. But I just feel myself getting better. And that tournament kind of let me know where I was at. And just kind of just building off of it. I really, honestly, I haven't really talked about it like
Yeah.
that since.
Yeah.
Like I just whatever. It's on to
Yeah.
the next one. But yeah, no, definitely nice to embellish and realize a goal that you had crossed off. But I got bigger things and more goals to go get. So obviously, keep winning my division or consistently. And then
Yeah.
obviously, man, just trying to be the best fighter out there. Period.
Of course. Of course. So this is a question I put on my Facebook today, and it's gotten a lot of really fun comments, and it was, who is someone that maybe you always, or maybe you didn't never think you would be able to face, and then you ended up doing it, and it's like, whoa, like, like, again, so for me, one of the best, I mean, I've had people on there say, I have a friend who has the boxing gym, and he
Mhm.
fought Roy Jones Jr. And he's like, it's like, yeah, you might win on that one. That's kind of crazy. Someone that you wouldn't think you would, other people, like Nasty Anderson, other people, saying Raymond, people. For me, I put people that, like, when I was 8 or 9 years old, I was looking up to them in the adult division, and then for me to be able to compete against them later on, like, is there anyone that, like, you dreamt to go against that now you are, or you have in the past?
Um, Now I'm thinking about it. When I was younger, all the guys I dreamed that I wanted to fight, they're not fighting anymore.
Yeah,
Um, like
that's the thing, right? Yeah,
all the big time guys, like Jottie's my guy. So it's like if I was able to fight Jottie, or Ross was another one. That's my guy too. Like fighting those guys for sure, or like a Ray, or honestly, or Jason Takes and Borelli.
mm.
I'm trying to think of some other ones. Um, that's a
Yeah,
that's a
because
that's
because
that's a
of that,
really good
again,
question.
like those 10 years you had, that was kind of their range. I know that's the part that kind of sucks, right?
And it's crazy because I was watching, like I think Compete Nationals when Ray came back and he fought, I think,
Yeah,
Alex, and he fought Paul Mitchell. He was out there, and it was just like, wow, like having an opportunity like, damn, if I was out, I would have been able, that would have been cool.
that would've been
um
cool. Yeah,
that would have been awesome. So I'm glad to see he was out there still doing it. But definitely those guys. But other than
yeah,
that, like, everyone's kind of retired, so I wouldn't
yeah.
say I dreamed of anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what the thing is like, the longer you stay in this and you keep doing it, you never know who's going to come back. People
Yeah, you
come back.
don't. You
And
don't.
what's cool about our sport is that we can do this forever. I mean, I love going and watching the 50 plus, the 60 plus divisions, seeing guys like Marty Eubanks still out there uh, kicking it. And he's been, winning since the 80s. Joey Shiflett, a lot of these guys. I mean, for me, that was one of the crazy things for me was, and I forgot to even mention this, when I actually had Joey Shiflett's like return match. So when I
Mm.
was 18, I turned 18. Joey Shiflett had been out of competing for like 10 years,
Oh
and he
wow.
came back to this tournament, and I was his first match, and it was just so cool,
I think
and
I think I think it is
people
cool.
left my area.
I think it is cool because, like, like you said, you don't expect to fight those guys.
Right.
Um, Dream. Yeah, Leo was a bad dude, man. So I was like a little kid watching Leo. So it's like I watched all
Yeah.
these guys since I was a kid. Like I got old VHS tapes. My uncle used to record. Like I got when I lost to Demetrios, I was talking to Christian after, and I was
Mhm.
like, I have a VHS tape of 2008 New England Open when you guys first came over to the U.S. and Christian had the white headgear with the long locks floating in the back, and we just started
Yeah.
laughing. I was like, watching these guys since I was 10 years old. So even seeing him coach and not being a fighter anymore, that was a different look.
Crazy, right?
I remember I used to watch Damon Gilbert fight growing up,
Yeah.
a scary dude.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've been around for a long time, and I've always been tapped into the game, and, who's doing what. And I just love the sport. So I'm always connected.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, dude, this has been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see you continue competing. What's your next tournament you're going to be doing? Big tournament.
I wanted to go to Quebec, but I actually have my sister's Jack in jail, so I won't be there. But definitely
Okay.
battle. Definitely probably do one before battle. So you'll see me more.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well,
All
keep
right.
up the good work, man. And this is a great time and great time to just share stories and share your experience and keep doing that, man, because like there's so many people that look up to you, but also can learn from your story as well. So keep that up, man.
100%, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, it's an honor to be on the show, man. I'm always tuned
Yeah.
in, and I meant to. If Alex was here today, I was actually watching a fight, random fight. Alex fought at U.S. Open like last week. I think he hit Chance Turner with like a spinning back kick. I was like,
Yeah.
just random fight, and I was like, yeah, man, just mad respect to you and him and with your platform, and just thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you
All right,
so much, man.
yes, sir.
Have a
You have
great
a
one.
great night. You too.
Yes, sir. Awesome. That was a great one. That was such an awesome person, and excited to see what is next for Jarvis. And we're going to go right to our next guest, who we have not had on before as well, and great friend and amazing competitor, superstar Kaitlyn Vong. Got to unmute yourself.
There we
There
go.
you
Hello.
go. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, this is pretty exciting. So, how have you been overall since returning from Rhode Island?
It's been really busy.
Yeah,
Just because as soon as I got back, I had school, so that's like taking up most of my time right now, and then working too.
yeah.
Mm.
So, explain what you're going to school for and what you do as well with work.
Yeah, so I just started a nursing program at the community college near me, and this I'm finishing up my first year, so we have like one more year to go. So I'm hoping to push through. And it gets harder every time, every semester. Definitely not looking forward to the next one though. And then for work, I'm just teaching at my martial arts school. So and I've been doing that for a while now, for as long as I can
You,
remember.
you, you also do you do the after school program as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I help out
okay,
with that. Sometimes I'll drive if I'm available, but I'll also teach too. Yeah.
awesome. So, all right, so Kaitlyn, you've been around in this for a really long time. I actually posted a picture the other day of you from my tournament. I think you were like 14 or maybe
Oh my
13 or something
gosh,
like that.
something like
Yeah,
that. Every time I see
yeah,
the picture, I'm like, wow, what a throwback.
yeah. And then I saw a picture as well that you had on your page of you kicking. I think you were younger than that. I don't know. You might have been 11, 12. And
Oh,
I posted
was it the
that
one
as well.
that they used for the podcast too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, you've been at this for a long time. When did you start martial arts? And have you, we know you as being with, Kurt Shyrock. How have you been? Was that where you started martial arts, or did you find your way to his school?
Yeah, so I started martial arts when I was 6 years old, and it was at Victory Martial Arts with Kurt. So it's been a long time since I've been doing this.
That's awesome. When did you start sport karate, and what was that
Mm,
like for you? What made you want to compete?
Yeah, so I feel like I started competing not on NASCA, but just like at local tournaments when maybe I was like a yellow belt, I would say. I think just since when I first started, it was like people saw my potential and what I could do. So I just started competing right away. And I think I started competing on NASCA maybe when I got I want to say black belt, my first degree. So maybe like 10 or 11 years old.
Okay.
And then, yeah, pretty much been doing that since sticking with NASCA.
Yeah. So, all right, so you've grown
Mm.
so much, since you've moved up into the adults. Um, I want you to share, like, what was the turning point for you? Like, because honestly, like, you had some success, you were on stage, sometimes you were consistent. Everyone remembered you as a really solid junior. But what was that change that made it to where you became on stage every time?
Mm. I'm trying to think if I have bad memory, but so I'll do my best. Um, but I don't think I really did trad when I was a junior. It was more CMX and sparring. And then once I got into the adult division, they started splitting up the forms, with and they had their own separate Korean division.
Right.
I feel like that's really when it took off for me. Um, so I remember like when I got on CBR too, that's when I kind of got more on stage and exposed and winning the Korean division.
Right. And I feel like the Korean challenge really made a difference for you as
Oh
well.
yeah. Mhm.
Because you were doing a different form. You were doing like a more of a, let's call it a NASCA Korean form, a NASCA style. You know what I mean? That's
Yes.
it's not that it's bad or anything, but it was different, right?
Mhm.
And you did well with that. But once you started going back to choreo, and that's when it was almost every tournament you were there. You became
Yes.
consistent, and really what, like Leander's saying, like the queen of the Korean division in sport in NASCA, especially over the last geez, how long has it been? 2023 or
Has it
2024
been
was
2 years?
it's 2023 battle was when I think the first challenge was. So yeah,
Okay.
well, that's 3 years. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I know. I same thing. I pinch myself too. I always forget like how long it's been.
Yes. No, I was
Yeah.
just thinking about like when I first got into the adult division, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like 6 years ago. So
Yeah.
that's wow.
Exactly. Exactly. It is crazy. So yeah. So what was that like once the the Korean Challenge division started, and did you see that as a way for you to make a name for yourself?
I would say yes, for sure. Because it was something that, I been doing for a long time. And with the whole 1v1, that just kind of highlights, especially when we get to stage, everyone gets to see, the different skills between each competitor. And I don't know, it was just fun. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can say the same thing, it's different from just seeing one person go up at a time. And then just battling people like Lily, for example, that was always fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can hear too while you're competing, like everyone cheer you on. And I just thought it was really cool. And I
Yeah.
wish they still did that because
In
I
the
know
finals.
now
I know
that it's
that's the hard part, it's like and that's what, Kurt and I talk about. It's like we have to sometimes take a step back to take 2 or 3 steps forward, but I hope in the future we do get a situation where we could still do that again, because I think to me it added a whole different element to the finals, because
oh
everything is
yes.
the same single, and then you have that and it's like, wow, okay, this is something different.
Hmm.
And the way I presented it as I was pushing Asuka to do it was, this is going to be like open weight. This is what, like it's a separate thing. Give it a separate prize money, give it a separate stage time. We don't necessarily need it in the runoffs. You know what I mean? It's a separate thing. Treat it as a special thing like that. And I think Japanese challenge should be the same way too, or the traditional challenge, but we have to do what we can to keep it growing. And I also understand on the junior side, it's hard. We can't take everybody to the finals.
Right.
So, the juniors are trying to find whatever way they can to get to that runoff spot, so.
Right.
So, Kaitlyn, one of the things too that, and again, I feel like you and I have because of what we do and the way that we've pushed this, and we also have a lot of students now that we teach on the circuit. Don't you wish that, at least in NASCA, that when you were a junior, you had that separate Korean division?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I
So
definitely would
share
have done
about that.
that.
What you think the value that brings, and has made a difference in NASCA, for people like that.
Mhm. Well, I feel like once I started talking to people, and just hearing that they actually started in Taekwondo, like that was their background, it's like they do all these like Japanese forms. And so I don't like just based off of watching, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
So I think having that separate Korean division and kind of you know, makes people want to come out, a little bit and try it again after so long. Because before NASCA, they would mainly do Japanese forms.
Right.
So, and again, it's just completely different, and that's the one thing too when it comes to the overall grands division. It's like you got both, and
Yeah.
so it's hard to
Yeah.
judge. But
Yeah, it is. And, one of the cool things that we've seen is, we continue to see it, I guess it's been a division now since 2024, I believe, the junior Korean. So now just finally we're seeing it by the end of 2025, we started seeing a consistent from the end of 25 to even now, every tournament, there's been, a Korean grand winner, so
mhm,
that's been exciting to see. And it's the growth, and it's fair, right? Like now we're seeing more fair judging on that. And again, I don't think it was that anyone was trying to hold people down. I think it's more
mhm,
of, if you don't see Korean forums until people turn to adult. Well, the problem is that some ways the quality isn't going to be as good either, because like that's one of the reasons why I went to NBL as a junior, because they had Korean and Japanese separate, and I could do both, and I could grow into the adults, right? Like there wasn't that minor league for people to work their way up to get to the pros in Korean and NASCA. Now there is, and now the judges are seeing more and more and more Korean forms, so they're getting used to it. You know, when they saw all these Japanese forms, that's what they're used to seeing, and they think, well, this is the only way. And now we're seeing more and more of the Korean forms and different ones too.
Oh, yes. No, I think, like, once I started getting students and then just watching those divisions, it's like, "Oh, all these people, do Korean." So, yeah, I think it's cool to see everyone kinda step up to that. And again, like you said, see it grow.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I know for me, doing this for a long time, like that's something that I take as something that, for my legacy moving forward is something I'm proud of being someone that can give back on that. And I think you are going to be one of those people as well. So keep that up.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks.
All right. So who are some people that you looked up to growing up? There were some that you trained with from your school, but also people in the sport.
Ooh, I feel like, well, because again, I started NASCA when I was, like, young, and I just kinda I just did it. And then as I got older, well, I guess a lot of the stuff in my training was like in school. So the people that I looked up to were from Victory Martial Arts. And Kurt Shryock was definitely one of my main person who helped me and coached me, you know, is why I'm here. And I would
Right.
remember like during class, but then also like in between classes, he would just like take me off to the side and all we did was just kicks. That's all we did. Because I was just naturally talented and he again saw that potential. So that's one of the people who helped me. And then I feel like when it came to CMX, with like open hand, again, Kurt. But then I also had people like I don't know what their last names are, but I I'm bad with memories. Um, but there was like Danny Barnes or like Danny Lee, and there was like Roxanne, and they were
Mm,
all. I think
yeah.
Danny he taught me commas at first, and then it went to Jake Khan, which now I see his son competing, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And again, there was just some other people in house who I looked up to. As far as NASCA, I think the one person who always comes to mind was Mackenzie Emery. Like, I
Okay.
never competed with her or anything like that, but I remember when I was younger, I just saw her compete. I was like, wow, I thought she was really cool. So
Yeah.
it would have been nice if I got to compete with her or against
Yeah,
her.
yeah, and I was gonna ask you that same thing I asked Jarvis, like what was there, and again, you're still at this point now, where maybe you haven't gone against some of those people yet, or were there some people that maybe even sometimes this happens at like local events, like where you go against someone that maybe you didn't expect you would go against before. Was there anyone like that?
Trying to think locally, can't think top of my head. Um, I don't know. But I remember, like, last year at Ocean State, I remember Sammy came back and
Yeah,
competed, and that just kinda, like, shocked everyone, like, we weren't expecting that, so that was cool to see her in the ring again. I think I did compete against her, maybe, like, the first year or 2, moving up
yeah,
into the
yeah.
adult division. Um, but yeah.
All right, yeah, because I know, and again, it may be later on where you actually are like someone that you coach, that's in like the 10-11 division now. And, you
Mm.
stick with us, you compete against them. I mean, for me, it's been one of those things where I've always tried to be like, I want to eventually compete against all of my black belts, Now, not all of them continue on like that, but that would just be a cool thing. And there's a few that I've been able to, like again, like Aaron and I, his last tournament that he competed against, he begged me to wild card at Super Grands and do it, and
Really?
he did, and then we both went on stage to compete against each other,
Oh,
and
wow.
that was just a cool way. And after that he went to college and wasn't in the sport anymore, but he takes that as like one of the best things like that's ever happened. It was just be able to compete against his instructor.
Yeah,
And
is
so
someone, he looked up to.
right. So for me, it was cool. When was it? The first year that we did Korean Challenge at Capital Classics, and someone that I remember seeing in like videotapes and then also seeing a local circuit was a guy, he's from the Junri system there. He's 20, 30 years older than me, but Philip Baruti decided to come in and do the Korean Challenge with all of us. And he was like, hey, this is, this was cool. And I'm sitting there like, I never thought that I would, because he hadn't even, that was like his comeback. And he just said,
Mhm.
I'm just going to come and do this because you guys inspire me to do it. And to be able to compete against him was just wild. I never thought that was going to happen. So that was a
Oh,
cool thing
wow.
for me. Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, give me a few years, maybe one of my students will be going against me.
That's
That
right.
would be
Or,
crazy.
when you get into 30 plus division, then that's when sometimes these surprises happen.
Oh,
Thank you, Billy.
gosh.
I appreciate that. I was just saying that it's an honor to watch us
Oh,
in
I
Korean.
see.
All right. So share about just some of your biggest moments that you've had so far over the past few years. What are some that stand out?
Um, oh, there are a lot. I mean, every tournament, it's different when you're coming in, you're just focusing on like, doing the best that you can do. But let's see. Oh man. Here we go. Let me channel okay. I don't know. I don't think it was the past year, or was it? I don't know,
I
but
think the year
see
before was
again,
the year before, not last year, but the year before, I think was when you won the diamond ring, right?
I was just about to mention that. Yeah, that was like I didn't know at that time like the diamond ring was like a huge thing. And so when I won, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations." I was like, "Thanks." Like it was just like another win for me. But then
Right.
like afterwards, after competition, like it just kind of like hit me. I'm like, "Wow, like I won this."
Right.
So that was cool winning that. And even like the Kappa Classics, the overall grants, like the pyramid, the red one, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Because I never had that one before either. And then just even I didn't win, but competing at the Warrior Cup with how they do overalls, men and
Right.
women. The
Yeah.
first time I did that, I think that was like not this year, but yeah, the past year. That was nerve wracking.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going against like all these Paul Mitchell, people and like Esteban and Dawson and Haley. I was just like, oh, well, let me just go out there and do my thing. But
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah. That's a cool experience. I think that tournament does the best of just. I mean, I always tell everyone it's the hardest tournament to make stage at, and to go out there, you really know that you did something just to be on that stage, and let
Hmm.
alone win the Warrior Cup. But yeah, I mean, it's a crazy feeling, right? To be up
Oh
there,
yeah.
no, because just the path you have to take, not just winning your division, but then you have to win the grand during the daytime, and then sometimes you have to do more. I know, like for me, I had to win my grand, and then I had to beat everyone else that won a grand in the seniors to get the spot. So I had to do
Mm.
so many forms that weekend to do that, and then get up on the stage to do that. So yeah, it's a wild feeling, and it's it's definitely cool. One of the things too during that time, you were on like a streak of like winning like 4 or 5 grands in a row. Now it wasn't always the same grand. It would be like, but you won a grand no matter what, like for like 5, 6 times. It was really cool to see that. Because again, everyone knows or thinks of you as for your Korean, but you've had a lot of success with your creative forms and your creative weapons. So share a little bit about that. Like what makes that part fun for you too?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've always done CMX. And then again, when I got to the adult division, I started doing Korean. And so I don't know, never really wanted to drop any of them. Like I enjoy doing it and even just the whole process of like coming up with, my own form.
Yeah.
And again, like I was good at Korean and I just enjoyed I was also again like winning too with the CMX. So I kind of just stuck with it.
Yeah.
Like even
Yeah.
now with nursing school, I've kind of had less time to train. And like for Ocean State, I was like, oh, like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Like, should I just drop it? Because like I didn't really have time to train. But I decided to do all of it because like I couldn't really give it up. I don't know, just
Yeah.
something about doing it all these years. And it's
No, I
fun.
get that. Yeah, it definitely is. And it was cool to see you, like, of course you had an unfortunate drop, but to me, watching that form, you had a couple little changes that you made, and I really enjoyed watching. I was like, dang, all right, this is looking like one of your better forms. It was really cool. So
No,
I'm
the
excited to
beginning,
watch.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, in the beginning.
Like,
Yeah,
so many people have come up to me, just that one part where I did, like, the, pop front kick into the
yeah,
double round, like,
yeah,
to me, like, it's kinda like it's basic, and
yeah.
just, like, no
I know.
tricks, no flips, but it's like, "Oh, people actually like that."
Yeah, I know, right? I know, I know. It's a wild thing. I think sometimes people forget or they're not used to seeing it. And so when people like us do something like that, for us it may not be that big of a deal, but it stands out, right?
Mhm, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for CMX, because I do not flip
Right,
whatsoever.
right,
So it's
right,
like, what can I do to stand out?
right. And that's the key thing is that finding your thing instead of. And again, it's always good to get out of your comfort zone. I don't want to tell people, hey, don't do this or whatever, because I learned how to flip and stuff, but I would never do it in my forms because why would I take myself to a level like I'm going to do what makes me stand out and who I am, right? But I learned how to do it just to do it because it's fun, right?
Mhm,
But it's the same thing. That's a hard thing for people to, it's a maturity, I think, a lot of times is figuring out what you're best at and being well-rounded, but at the same time, not trying to chase what everyone else is doing. Do what you do.
right. Yeah,
Right.
and that
And
was
then,
something I was always told.
okay, there you go. That's what I want to say. That was something you were always told and taught.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, the
And
sidekicks
I
stand out.
gotta also mention, going back to the question about, like, achievements, because I totally forgot, this went over my head, but Cowboy Up,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna
winning
say.
all 3.
Yeah, yeah, when you won all three grands, that's crazy. So that's
Mhm.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
fun one too.
yeah, I haven't made it there yet. I'm hoping to um as well, but I definitely I love tournaments that do that creative type thing, you know. So,
Mhm.
all right. So, Kaitlyn, let's see. Trying to make sure I haven't missed everything here. But what what are some all right, we've talked about, Korean a lot, but at the same time, like who are some people, and again, you can shout out some of your students, but you can also shout out people that maybe you just watched and seen. Who are some of the juniors that you enjoy seeing do Korean forms?
One well, I guess I'll shout out my students first. I've been working recently with James
Yep.
Potter. He just started Korean this year. And his mom has always like wanted him to do it. And now that it's like NASCAR rated in its own division, we're like, oh, might as well try. And he even made it onto stage
Yeah.
at Ocean States with Moon Moo. I didn't even get to have a chance to watch him. I was so busy, like in my head in the back of the room. But that was cool. And I know he was excited. Everyone was excited for him. Some other students that I've been working with that I think have been improving a lot. We have like Nora, we have Olivia, and I think Olivia even won was
At
it runoffs at Warrior Cup.
he
Yeah,
won
I
the
remember.
one at Warrior Cup. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I just remember like competing, and then I just hear a bunch of people like cheering, someone. I'm like, who is that? I'm like, is that Olivia? And next
Yeah.
thing you know, she won that. I was like, oh my gosh. Um, and then just even people at my own school too, who don't really compete on NASCA like that, but just seeing them at local tournaments and winning and exceeding in that, it's just really cool. You always want your students to be better than you. So when
Yeah.
that happens, like, wow,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
did your job.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see, so many of them having the success, with, Olivia doing it. One of my students, Peter, won the grant at Toronto. Um, Same thing with Maddie Wiersma. I've been training her for, geez, a long time now, like 2021.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
and so for her to finally break through and get that, she was the first junior to be able to do a Korean form on stage at ISK US Open last
Oh
year.
yes.
Um, and then she won I'm sorry, at Competes this year. And she's someone who continues to push, right? There's so, I mean, I've been working with a lot of students for a while, so it's, it's really cool to just see their growth. Someone I think about is Thenora. Um, uh, I always mess up with his last name, Greninge, and he, just went from not really knowing how to make it work for him to becoming like where we had a lot of technique to work on, right? And then over a year from the beginning, from like competes all the way to like Toronto, this was like two years ago, it just changed like
Mhm.
that, right? And so seeing that change in so many different people is really exciting. So I'm excited to see what the future is for that. The other thing is seeing people like young guys that are moving up now, like competing against Miles, competing against Noah. These guys that were in juniors while we were getting a lot of this started, or even before that.
Mhm.
Because Miles has been on this for a long time. And I mean, he remembers seeing me compete back in 2014, 2015 when I was on
Oh
stage.
wow.
So it's kind of wild, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, are there some people you're excited to move up and compete against in the next year or two?
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really watch the younger divisions, but I want to like I need to though, because at Ocean State, like I was watching the runoffs. I think the ones that you were judging in the
Yeah,
rotunda room, and it's like, wow, these kids are really good. you
yeah,
know, gotta step up my game.
yeah. Exactly. It's crazy, just and it's exciting just for the sport. I know it pumps me up as soon as I'm thinking, okay, this will be my last year doing the 18 plus, or I'm going to stop doing this or that. And then someone else moves up and, oh, dude, I get to do this. I get to, let me see, let me see if this challenges me more and more. And I don't know, it just keeps getting more and more exciting. And again, I love the Korean challenge. I mean, it's a really, really hard way. I keep telling myself, man, it's a hard way to make the runoffs, but, or to make stage. Especially now doing all three back to back to
Yeah, I'm
back.
about to say 3 rounds. Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's tough. But going against Noah, going against Miles, going against Billy again, this past weekend, it was like old times, him and I in the finals. Just a lot of fun. So and there's other ones. I mean, Jared Dunn is someone who's come back and done a great job. I think this is the second time now we've gone head to head against each other.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and so those have all been fun. So you've went against Lily a bunch. Those are always good. The original first two were you and Gabrielle, and you guys had some
Hmm.
some fun ones as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Especially, where was it at? I think it was Capitals where you guys
There
like
was caps. Hmm.
crossed big time. And
Oh yeah.
so, and then
Oh my
actually at
goodness.
AKA this year, one of you guys hit each other or something. Like your uniforms slipped each other, and
I
that's
Yeah, I think that was me.
I know you were in
But
there. I don't remember if it was you and Gabrielle, or I think it was you and Gabrielle.
oh god,
But
dang,
yeah, well,
yeah.
all right. What's crazy is that a lot of times, because people don't really know, like it seems closer to people watching in some ways than like when we're doing. We're just in it, and we may think, okay, let me pause here, but I'm like, we'll be fine. But but when you see like, oh dang, that was really close. That's you know was what goes through your head when you're doing that?
Mm. Yeah, no, because I think there's been like, uh, yeah, at least once or two times where I've had that, like, just being really close to someone. And it's like, okay, well, first I gotta, measure out my distance. Like, am I gonna hit them? You know? And if I
Yeah.
feel like I am, then I will like take a slight pause. But it's also like you don't want to take too long. So
No. Exactly.
you kind of still gotta do your thing, not mess up your own flow too. But I don't know, like, it's fine, I feel like in the moment, but then, like, afterwards, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, like, you guys almost hit each other." I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, we're good, I promise
Yeah. Yeah.
you."
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. I wonder how that looks. That's what I always try to say. Yeah. It gets a little crazy, especially when there's some forms. Like after a while, what your competition is going to do or whatnot. I know this time when I went against Jared, we got really close. And because he was doing Jindo, and that was one that I haven't really gone against someone doing that, and so that changed a little bit. And then usually a lot of times Billy and I go, kind of cross if I'm doing OG and he's doing Kong Song, especially if I'm on the right side. And so
Mhm.
that time, this happened again, and got a little close again, but we're kind of used to that, right? So
Yeah.
it is what it is, but it's what I think is fun. I mean, I definitely think that every Korean Challenge ring should be live streamed so everyone can see it.
Yes.
It definitely needs that shine. And I'm excited about having those divisions at my tournament next weekend, and seeing just the growth of that, and more people getting to see those divisions as
Mhm.
well, and
Yeah.
highlight it as a big time thing. So
Mhm.
so yeah.
Is it NASCA,
Yeah, so
your
my
tournament?
tournament is a Pro Mac and a
Okay.
NASCA tournament this year. So yeah, so we're pushing toward bringing it back. Like when I'm trying to think the year you came. I think it was the first year we did the night show where we had the stadium seating and everyone was looking down at it and stuff. So our event. It's been almost 8 years since we had the tournament, and it was pretty big back then. So. Yeah, Christine says, voting, you go back to fighting again. Yes, yes, I
Oh,
agree.
I know she was expecting me to, like, fight Ocean States. I feel like everyone was expecting me to. 'Cause, like, the past year, like, I took a break from it,
Yeah,
because I was just doing other stuff, other divisions too. I just haven't been training it as much. But, like, part of me wanted to, but at the same time, I
yeah,
was like, oh, it's been a minute."
yeah, yeah.
One day,
Well,
one
and
day.
again, like you said, with school and everything, it's hard. Sometimes you have to figure out, that give and take and what was going on. So
Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh, the fight. Oh,
So
everyone's
before
always
you
asking
finish up,
me.
talk about that, just the being on CBR and what that's like. You were with your school team for so long. Um, what makes what's the big difference in being on a sponsored team with other people?
Yeah, so I mean, again, like I was with Victory, and I still am, at the school and
Yeah,
stuff. But when I'm going to the NASCA tournaments, I'm wearing Team CBR, and it's definitely cool seeing everyone coming out. Like, we're all coming from different states. Majority of them's like coming up from like New Jersey and Rhode Island. Um, I feel like right now, not everyone's competing as much, but we still got like Rashad. I see him there, and the people from my school, like, they don't really compete on NASCA, like
right.
I do, which hopefully, we get better at.
Yeah.
Eventually, I
No,
want them to start, but they're almost there.
yeah,
But I think
yeah,
it's really cool. It's a cool team. Everyone's really supportive. Christine's always trying to be there, ringside, cheering me on, supporting me. So it's cool knowing that, she has your back in the team as well.
yeah, definitely. And someone like that has a lot of experience too, and doing everything.
Oh
And Christine
gosh.
is someone that has done everything as well, with forms, fighting weapons, soft style,
Yes.
hard style, traditional. So to have that is always a cool thing to rely on, and even just to pick their brain, right?
Hmm. Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna hear from Christina after this now.
Uh,
Oh.
she's just saying some nice things about you and how you're funny.
Yeah, everyone knows, like, I'm quiet, I keep to myself.
That's all right. We love that about you. So, um, Kaitlyn, thank you so much. What's the next event you're going to be at?
I'll be at Quebec this weekend and then battle. So I'm gonna try to hit most of the rest of the NASCAR tournaments this year.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anything else after that you're looking at doing or trying? I know you and I have talked about trying some different uh, types of Korean tournaments or leagues here and there, but
Mhm.
what are some things that you what else is in your future? I know you're working on school, so what's next?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I feel like with competition wise, I've been thinking about is it AAU,
Yeah,
right?
there's AAU, and then we also have the new Adidas league that's starting up
Oh, did
with
I see something about that at one of the tournaments coming up? I can't
yeah.
remember.
So
Is it
the
Amerikick?
Adidas no, the
No,
Adidas is going to be a battle, and then also at
battle.
US Open is going to be the national trials. So when we do, that's going to be that Thursday, and we'll be picking a national team to go to different events. So we have I'm going to be one of the head coaches on that, and we're going to have a small team that goes to this big event in Mexico where we're going to have Team Adidas USA versus Team Adidas Mexico going head to head challenge,
Oh,
5-on-5, doing those forms. So I'm excited to see who makes it out of that at US Open and makes that team. Um, so that is something that is another thing that they are partnering with a lot of the NASCAR tournaments this year to offer these divisions, and every division is head to head. All of it is that way. So bracket style, head to head. But you know how we have Korean challenges, all the styles against each other. There's a division for that, but there's also a WT division, an ITF division, and then a Tang Sudo division. So you can
okay.
learn more forms, do those. You don't
Mhm.
have to change the forms. You can do one form that whole time if you want. Say if it's like for me, I'm not necessarily I know a lot of the Tang Soo forms, but I wouldn't call it my style. So I stick with one form. But then maybe for WT or ITF, I know more of the forms and I feel more comfortable.
Mhm.
I may switch my form each round, but I don't have to.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know too much about that. I just saw that and I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, so it's something that's coming, and again, it's really cool that we're getting more opportunities for Korean forms and Korean martial artists, and then of course there is also AAU competition as well that would be cool as well. You and where you live there, it's very popular actually,
Oh,
and then
okay.
there's actually Adidas tournament May 23rd as well in Maryland, I believe Waldorf, Maryland. So,
Oh, yeah,
right,
that's mhm.
like
Mm,
right around the corner, right?
yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, yeah. So they'll be doing those styles. So
Okay.
pretty awesome, pretty awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for joining us. Anything you got to share or shout out or anything before you leave?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on again.
Yes, yes. Have a great one, and see you soon.
Alright, will you be at Quebec?
I will not. It will be
Okay.
probably not until battle to see you unless before that. So, yep.
Alright, sounds
All
good.
right. Have
Take
a good
care.
one. Yes. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Inside Scoop. And Alex will be back next week, I believe. And if anyone has any questions or anything you guys want to ask me or who you guys would like to have on in the future, give us some names right here while we are hanging out. Um, Listen, I know it's just me, but still, this is pretty early for us. Finishing up, and maybe we'll just call it a show. But if you guys got anyone who you would like to see on the show, let's hear it right now. Give us some ideas, and then also I want to go into that question before we finish up. Who are some people that you thought you would never be able to compete against that you ended up competing against, right? Oh, yeah, we've had Dawson on, dang, what was that? 3 weeks ago? Or no, that was right after Warrior Cup. Yeah, we had Dawson on, Leandro. Yep. So we'll definitely have these guys on again. Also, who are some people that maybe you always dreamed of going against, right? And you thought, well, that's not going to happen. Maybe they're going to retire before it's my time, right? I know for me, I shared about Joey Shiflett. I shared also about Phil Baruti. You know, competing against Kim Doe is one of those things that was wild for me. Carmichael Simon was something where he was 17, I was 10. So even then I didn't really think that was a reality. And then I was able to do that. So share some of those in the comments, guys. And everyone just have a blessed week and weekend. And remember, next week we will be sharing about everything that happened at Quebec Open. And we hope to share more about some of our guests, you know, like Kaitlyn, as she will be there. Check all them out, guys. I know they start Thursday night with seminars. So make sure, I know Bailey is out there doing seminar, Esteban, and Casey Nash. So if you're going out there, take advantage of one of those seminars because they're truly, you know, the best. So thank you guys so much. This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Jeff Doss. Have a blessed night, guys.